Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Reactor, and this is Quinn. Today's article comes from independent.co.uk and says Jamel Robertson demands for justice after Chicago police shoot dead hero black security guard who successfully detained gunman. And I want to clarify that it was not Chicago police. This is a UK article writing about. I think foreign articles are the best because they don't have a bias. They don't know really like a way to spin it, because they don't have an agenda usually.
Right.
But in this case, they do get it wrong. It wasn't Chicago police. It was a suburban Chicago. It was a suburb of Chicago.
From what I understand,
is totally different.
This was like 20 miles south of the city, which is very far from any city, really.
Yeah. Chicago police are a lot more experienced with armed gunmen. You know,
right. That's where
the suburbs aren't so much at all.
Usually the guns are like more in the city.
Yeah.
You know.
And just to clarify, I'm from Chicago, so that's what I'm. That's
Right,
why
right.
I'm familiar with this. Yeah, Chicago is like a war zone.
So 20 miles south of Chicago, is that like country or suburbs or?
It's like halfway in between, right?
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a suburban, and then I mean if you go, 20 miles south, gets pretty rural.
From any city, it seems far.
Yeah. Illinois is a huge metropolitan Chicago, and then the whole rest of the state is rural, right? Would you agree? It's like.
I mean, most cities
pretty rural,
are like
cornfields and everything. Well, no, not every city, but
I mean, in the Midwest.
yeah,
seems
I guess,
like that.
yeah. The family of a hero security guard who apprehended a gunman in a bar before being shot dead by police has filed a $1 million lawsuit. I think it should be way more than $1 million.
We were just talking. I remember just saying yesterday that cops are shooting too many black people.
No, well, it wasn't. You see, you're turning it into a race issue.
The wrong
They
people.
shot a guy who had a gun. The police, who aren't, superhumans, they're not like extremely psychic. They show up to a crime scene where they're told there's a black guy with a gun.
Right.
Don't be surprised when they show up and see a black guy holding a gun to someone's back.
I know this
and think,
guy was a black guy who was a security guard, and
well, yeah, we're gonna get into that.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's not a race issue. They showed up and saw a gunman, and that's the unfortunate side effect of civilians having guns.
Right.
The cops who aren't super trained, like they probably never experienced something like this. Because cops are all humans too. This was a black guy, which is wrong. But if it was a white gunman in this club or bar, whatever this place is, and a white security guard had a gun to the guy's back, the police would show up just the same, thinking that's probably the gunman, and he could pull that trigger at any second and murder that guy on the ground. What do we do? That's probably what was in their head. Like, we got a split second. Do we save this guy's life? If they say, "Hey, put down the gun," the guy could pull the trigger right then, and then they just got a guy killed because they could have shot him.
It seems like when outside of the city, it seems like the amount of times that an officer would actually have to draw their weapon on someone would be a lot less than if they're in the city. To me,
What do you mean?
like this being 20 miles outside of the city,
like suburbs
seems
don't have crazy
suburbs,
crime like
right,
Chicago.
would seem like there's less of that there.
That's what I was saying. Like Chicago cops, not that they're not perfect. I'm not saying they are. They do shoot innocent people, I'm sure.
They have,
Yeah.
and they are corrupt. Yeah.
Well, not all of them are corrupt, but I mean, like they do
Their
make
dash
mistakes.
cams are corrupt. They've been recalled a few times.
They have broken dash cams?
They ride around with broken dash cams, saying that they can't. They
See,
don't work.
that's a different issue. That's a corrupt cop. That's like not what we're talking about. Like every police station has corrupt police.
Right.
All right. You got a problem with that? Like it's not something that can easily
nothing
be
new.
fixed.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But I'm saying, you can't really expect cops to be psychic. They show up to a scene and think, because what if the gunman did have the security guard on the ground?
If cops were psychic, they would be doing a lot better job.
Yeah, of course. No, but I'm saying if the roles were switched and the gunman had the security guard on the ground for trying to stop him, the cops would have been heroes.
Right.
Right? Because nobody knew. When they showed up, nobody knew. None of them knew the exact situation, and they were wrong, which is horrible. They were horribly wrong. But I mean, what do you do? Tell the gunman, put the gun down, and then he kills a guy, and you live with that? Like, I could have just shot him. I was told there was a gunman there. I showed up, and the gunman had his gun to the security guard's back. I could have killed him, but I asked him nicely to put the gun down like an idiot. It's like you don't know the situation.
Right.
And in this situation, they messed up. But also they were probably very inexperienced.
Yeah. How many of these people actually have ever pulled out a gun? That's a really good question.
They probably just
like in
the suburbs,
in a conflict, like with as a police officer.
The difference between Chicago and the suburbs of Chicago is if you blow a stop sign in Chicago, the cop will like maybe even ignore you. Like I'm not stopping for that. You know?
Yeah, like I've
blown
found
stop
it's
sign.
like it's a lot harder to get pulled over in the city.
Yeah, but if you're in a suburb, every cop that is currently working that shift will show up. You'll have 6 squad cars behind you, and they'll all be like chit-chatting, like, "Oh, did you find anything on this guy? Oh, what ended up happening? Oh, cool." You know,
right.
Like, suburbs are
the number of like small infractions a cop sees all day long that just like probably circles him with a red marker in his head and goes whatever, paperwork, and they're just letting it go, and then it becomes because why you're gonna go shake a dude down for jaywalking who may or may not look like he is hitting car windows while he crosses the street? No, he's not hurting anyone. He hit a couple hoods, whatever. They let him go. You literally have to be like driving 4 deep in an Escalade with guns waving out the window for them to pull you over. Otherwise, they're just like, whatever.
Yeah. Chicago is like, it's pretty easy to not be the worst of the criminals.
Right. There's way worse than you think you could ever be.
Yeah, let's start the article, though. A family of hero security guard who apprehended a gunman in a bar before being shot dead by police has filed a $1 million lawsuit. Jamel Robertson, 26, was shot after he chased down the attacker in the bar in a Chicago suburb and knelt on his back until the police arrived. Like, that's horrible because he was just doing a perfect job, The incident occurred at roughly 4 a.m. on Sunday after another security guard told a group of drunk men to leave the premises, whatever. Witnesses said someone then returned to the bar with a gun and began shooting, resulting in 4 people being shot. Man, and this guy was a hero.
Yeah.
You take down a gunman?
Like
this guy risked his life.
If this guy had survived, these cops don't understand that he would have been probably the best asset that their dumbasses would
this guy
have.
No, well, he already is better than them at their job.
I know.
He did their job for them, and then that is really sad.
Yeah.
Robertson, the father of a 9-month-old boy, then managed to apprehend one of the suspects outside the bar and knelt on his back until the police arrived. Moments after
Sorry, I just blurted out textbook. Like, he's just a badass.
Moments after the officers arrived on the scene, one opened fire and shot the security guard dead. Like that, you could have tased him. Well, tasing a gunman could make him pull the trigger, right? He was reportedly holding his own licensed gun and wearing a hat emblazoned with security across the front when the police officer opened fire. See, now was this a trigger-happy cop?
Was his back to the cop? Because if you couldn't see the front of the hat, then obviously, if there's no security marking on the back, then this clearly, I believe that this case, and I don't know exactly what this guy looked like when he had his knee in this guy's back, but I'm guessing right now that this guy did not have a clearly marked uniform that was bright enough for these cops to actually see it. I'm talking about like silver around all the lettering, something that glows when any light hits it, fluorescent green around the armbands, anything orange, green, whatever. He wasn't marked well enough. They probably couldn't see it.
Yeah. But another thing is, I feel like the security guard also could have been informed, maybe, that when there's a shooting, like, he didn't need to have a gun to the guy's back. That was the issue that the cops made. That's what made the cops think he was the gunman. And they acted quickly in the wrong way. But once you have him on the ground, he could have holstered his weapon and then put his hands behind his back and held him. Right? You don't have to hold a gun to someone's back to hold him down.
Well, the fact that he already had his knee in the person's back means that he's taken the person's height away from him. The person cannot get up at that point.
Yeah.
The person wants to do a push-up and push the person off, but if he had his knee in the back and he actually had one of his arms, he didn't need a gun drawn.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He could have holstered his weapon and then...
It's a submissive
if he tried fighting back
state.
and lost control again, pull his weapon out again. But by having his knee in his back, he should have been able to disarm the guy if he had a gun, stuff like that. He should have,
Let's be fair, though. We've got a black guy with his knee in the back of somebody.
No. It's not a black guy. It's not that it's a black guy. It's someone matching the suspect's description.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Okay. That's what it is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't want to turn this into a race issue. That's not what it is.
But I mean, it's just like it happens so often. It's hard to overlook it as that for me.
Well, if people matching descriptions of suspects happens often, what can you do about it?
I guess you're right.
He was reportedly holding his own licensed gun. I already read that, right? The police opened fire. When police arrived, Robertson was holding somebody on the ground with his knee in his back, with his gun in his back. Witness Adam Harris told WGN-TV. Everybody is screaming out, "He's a security guard!" Oh, and the cops probably thought he's about to kill the security guard. Right?
Wow. All these helpertons that got this dude killed.
Unless they were like, put the weapon down, and everyone's like, he's a security. Yeah, because if I were a cop, you know how that might seem?
Right.
Like,
You're like, who's the security
don't let the
guard?
security guard get killed.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's the last thing I want to do.
It's like a critical moment.
Uh-huh.
You know?
And you can make the right or wrong decision.
Exactly.
It's like flip a coin. What's the right decision?
It's the difference between your situational awareness of what you're seeing and what people are telling you. Your brain's conflicted.
But why, if the police arrived, he didn't need his weapon drawn anymore. That's I can't understand.
Again, if you're not clearly marked in your uniform and you've got a visible firearm drawn when you clearly may not need it.
Uh-huh. I would, if I were the security guard, I would put my weapon away as fast as possible, as soon as I didn't need it. You know? Like, once I have the guy on the ground, I'm not letting anyone think I'm the gunman, because that's what happens. If they were coming for a gunman, don't be a gunman.
Right, I agree.
He was protecting the club and holding a suspect down, Mr. Harris added to CBS. But I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that this guy wasn't a hero and badass. He just, slight mistakes, things could have been better for everyone, if everything was coordinated better. Robertson was pronounced dead shortly after being taken to a hospital early on Sunday. 4 other people were shot and wounded, including a man who authorities believe fired a gun before officers arrived. Cook County Sheriff's spokeswoman, Sophia Ansari, said. Attorney General Gregory Coulis filed the civil rights lawsuit seeking more than $1 million on behalf of Robertson's mother, Beatrice Robertson. See, and if the roles were switched and the gunman had his gun to the guy's back, to the security guard's back, and they killed him, then what? It would have been okay. It's like, oh, but yeah, because had they known, this is information they couldn't have had. All they knew was they were looking for someone matching a description.
True.
The Midlothian officer encountered a subject with a gun and was involved in an officer-involved shooting. The subject the officer shot was later pronounced deceased at an area hospital. Daniel Delaney, the chief of the Midlothian Police Department, said in a statement posted on the department's Facebook page. Illinois State Police are handling the investigation into Robertson's shooting. The agency said it would not comment on the investigation until it was completed. Yeah, if I were presiding over this case, I would say this was super unfortunate, but in life, nothing's ever black and white, and you can't have clear answers, and there's never a clear answer for everything. While Robertson had a valid firearm owner's license identification card, he did not, however, have a concealed carry permit, police said. So he was carrying on his hip, right? I mean, the Reverend Martin Hunter said Robertson was an upstanding young man and a promising keyboard player at his and several other area churches. Robertson was trying to get enough money together for a deposit on a new apartment, said Reverend Hunter, the great-uncle of Laquan McDonald, a black teenager fatally shot by a white, Chicago police officer in high-profile 2014 case. Oh, it's like we're going to start, how can we get race into this? How can we blame race? Okay, well, if you really want to blame race, you're going to look like an idiot when you point out that the race was a big part of it. Like this, if the gunman... Well, actually, you know what, though? I don't know what race the gunman was. I'm just assuming, I guess, yeah. I am assuming that he matched the description of the suspect. But I could be wrong. I don't think I am, though. Because this would actually make absolutely no sense. And the cop would be a murderer, in my opinion, if he didn't match a suspect.
Right.
But I'm guessing that he probably matched the suspect because cops don't purposely murder people, especially with all the race baiting that the news is doing nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that cops do purposely murder people. Not all of them, but there's
yeah, sure, I guess
there's some.
There are people who just want to get more kills.
They're just murderers. I mean, what can you do?
I don't know. Robertson also had hopes of becoming a police officer, according to his son's mother. His son's mother? Oh, okay. This was going to be my baby's first Christmas with his dad, and now he's going to miss out on everything, said Avantia Booz. Robertson is one of at least 840 people who have been shot and killed by police so far in 2018, and one of at least 19 in Illinois, according to Washington Post database. The paper said at least 181 of those shot and killed by police this year. 22% were black. That's it, 22%. The U.S. population is about 13% black. I'm sure there's a valid reason why that happened. It's not because the cops are hunting down black people. You know, this isn't a race baiting issue. This isn't a race issue. This is a crime issue. You know, however you want to spin that, whatever you want to blame that on, I don't know.
I think that this is this news story, like if this exists like 50 years from now, or like 2 years from now, and people are still watching it. If you're a black guy who's a security guard, and you read this, you probably want to wear really bright clothing, even if it's going to point you out to people that you're trying to, you know, even if it makes you a mark when you're doing your job, you probably want to be very, very well identified. The other thing I want to say about this is this: they said this guy had a firearms card for that shows that he owns the exact gun that he has. It shows the serial number and all that, but it says he was carrying it on his hip. And from what I understand, like, some states don't allow you to what it's called open carry, like, you know, like a cowboy. And I don't think Illinois is one of those. So this guy was illegally carrying a firearm on his job, which in most states is very.
It said he had a permit to have the firearm, but not to. But you conceal carry.
Yeah, but in Illinois you have to.
You
have
can't open carry.
A concealed carry permit along with a bunch of other states.
There is no open carry.
No, there isn't. Open carry is only in a few states, and was made. I think the law was made for like snakes and stuff, like you know, like in New Mexico and Arizona and places where like there's things that can kill you in the desert. You know, and like places like Montana where you can get killed by a brown bear and stuff still.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense, but like, it doesn't make sense to like have to have it in a city. I mean, it doesn't. But anyways, that's not really the issue. The issue is that this guy wasn't clearly marked, in my opinion, for being a security guard, and
he may have matched the suspect.
And he may have matched, yeah.
And once you subdue a suspect, like if the guy was subdued and disarmed already, you shouldn't be aiming a weapon at him anymore.
And again, another point I want to make is if you're going into the line of security guard work and you want to be a cop, don't end up like these bumbling donut eaters that don't know any martial arts. Learn martial arts so that when you have a guy on the ground, you don't need to put a gun at his head. You'll just put him in a submission. Learn some Brazilian jiu-jitsu or judo. That's exactly what it's for.
Well, I mean, he had him on the ground with a gun to his back. And and I just feel like that was a little unnecessary, and that's where the confusion came from.
I mean, there's a lot of things that a person can do in that situation, and the main thing is you should probably put your gun away if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It could have been avoided. Mistakes were made. This was not a racial issue. This is not like, you know, I'm sure a lot of news media are gonna start race baiting with this stuff. I mean, we don't even know if the cops were what race the cops were.
It just upsets me, you know. It upsets me to read about this.
I'm noticing that they're not saying it was a white cop. You know, because I guarantee you, any cop that shows up in that situation, you know, what do? Do you save the life, or do you, you know?
It's
you don't know what's going on.
You know what? If this wasn't like, if this had no racial motivation, and if the person clearly just made a mistake. It's unfortunate, you know, that they couldn't identify the security guard to me. Mm-hmm. And my thoughts go out to their family. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. The
dude was a badass. He was a hero. He risked his life to get that guy on the ground.
Right.
But mistakes were made, and it's unfortunate.
Everybody could learn from these situations as well.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see why they shouldn't ask for money in the lawsuit, because he was wrongfully killed.
Yeah.
You know? But...
Right.
I just don't want to blame the officers, because when you show up on a situation like that, what do? You know, if they're all yelling he's a security guard, like, I don't want a security guard to die, you know?
Right.
Like, these people risk their life just like me. I don't know. Yeah, it's messed up. You have anything else you want to say? So that's it for the article. If you enjoyed it, let us know by giving it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. What do you think about this article? What do you think? Other than that, check the description for our Patreon link if you want to help us, and thanks for watching.